I invested into some of the world's riskiest investments to see how they'd perform over a week. I was hoping that this would either go well and I'd make a really good return, or it would go wrong and I'd make a big loss, because then at least it would make for an interesting video. What I didn't want to happen is to just break even, because that would be boring. To get started, I first had to identify a few different investments that the finance and investing world considers to be extremely risky. So I googled world's riskiest investments and found this Investopedia article about the 10 riskiest investments. I decided to choose 5 of these 10 risky investments that I'd actually be able to invest in the Robinhood app. First on this list is, of course, options, because you can lose your entire investment really quickly from trading options. You know we had to include it in this video. Next on the list is futures, which is something that Robinhood doesn't support, so we'll skip that one. In fact, this list had a lot of investments that I wouldn't be able to put money into on a stock brokerage app, like oil and gas exploratory drilling, and alternative investments, which include things like artwork and collectibles, which require a lot of time and research to gain an understanding of the market. And since I didn't want to spend hours listening to Gary Vee talk about why buying sports cards is the greatest investment opportunity of this decade, because, well...
And I'm gonna eat up all the things I want, and the juiciest, most delicious ant I'm looking for is Super Premium LeBron and MJ PSA 10.
I settled on choosing leveraged ETFs, penny stocks, IPOs, and crypto altcoins. Crypto wasn't on the list of riskiest investments, but it is a highly volatile investment, and altcoins, especially meme coins, are that much more speculative, so I felt like I should include it. The next step was to deposit money into a Robinhood account. For this challenge, I decided to invest $1,000. I didn't really want to invest more than that because there was a really high chance that I could lose a lot of money, especially with options. And I'm not trying to bankrupt myself for a YouTube video, so I just stuck to the $1,000. And at the end of the week, I'd be able to calculate the total percentage return on investment, which is more important than the actual amount of money I made or lost. Since I have 5 securities to invest in, I tried to invest around $200 into each one so that I could invest most of the $1,000. Okay, so the first investment I wanted to start with is IPOs. IPO stands for Initial Public Offering, and this is when a company goes from being private to public through selling its shares on the stock market to investors like me and you. Investing into IPOs can be risky because they have no stock trading history, so you don't have access to history on how the stock has behaved over time. Also, IPOs can be extremely volatile as investors determine what they believe the stock is worth. Using Robinhood's IPO access, I was able to find 3 stocks that were going public soon. I chose to invest in Expensify since that was the only company I had heard of, and it was set to go public the following week on Wednesday, which was before the end of the week on Friday, which was basically when I was planning on ending the challenge. So basically, I would have 2 days to see what would happen to the stock price. I requested 6 shares of Expensify at a price of $30, which totaled $180. So with my order queued for Wednesday and $820 left to invest, let's move on to the second risky investment, options. This is potentially the riskiest investment you can make, since you can lose your entire initial investment extremely easily. And since the nature of this challenge is to find the riskiest investments possible, I decided to buy a call option on Palantir stock, which is one of the Wall Street Bet's all-time favorite option plays. And because this challenge was only for a week, I chose a $25 call option that expired in exactly 1 week. So if I'm going to break even on this options play, I would need Palantir to reach $26.90 in a week, which means I'd need Palantir to increase by about 3%. And if Palantir were to decrease in price below $25, I would in fact lose all of the $190 that I invested. That's why I'm glad I didn't do this challenge with like $10,000, because buying options with a very close expiration date is insanely risky. If the stock moves in your favor, you can make a ton of money, but if it doesn't, you'll probably lose all of your investment. Okay, so with $630 left to invest, let's move on to risky investment number 3, which is leveraged ETFs. These funds are usually linked to an underlying index such as the S&P 500 and have leverage, which means that it moves more in comparison to its underlying index. So for this investment, I decided to buy $100 of a 3 times leveraged S&P 500 index fund, which means that by buying this fund, I would have 3 times the exposure to the overall stock market. So for example, if the overall stock market were to move 1%, this fund would move around 3%. I also was on the lookout for another leveraged ETF, and I found a 3 times leveraged biotech ETF, which sounded like it was really risky, so I bought $100 worth of that as well. If you could tell already, there really isn't much research going into selecting these investments. It's really a game of trying to find the riskiest things to invest in and seeing what happens. Okay, moving on to risky investment number 4, which is crypto altcoins. Robinhood only has 2 altcoins listed on its platform, so I went ahead and bought $100 of Dogecoin and $100 of Litecoin. And finally, the last investment I needed to buy was penny stocks. And since I don't know anything about any penny stocks, I went onto the penny stocks subreddit and basically found the stocks that were the most hyped up and chose those ones. I ended up buying around $50 worth of Genius Brands, Naked Brand, Progenity, and Riskiest pharmaceuticals. And after that, I had about $32 left, so I decided to just throw the rest into some more Dogecoin. So as of that Friday morning, I had 1 Palantir call option expiring in a week, 4 penny stocks, 2 leveraged ETFs, 2 crypto altcoins, an IPO request that would be fulfilled on Wednesday, and overall the portfolio had a value of $1,000. So later on that Friday night, I wanted to quickly check in on how the portfolio was doing after the first day of the week, and it was down 2%, so there hadn't been anything too crazy that had happened so far. The majority of the movement in the portfolio came from the Palantir call option, which was down 13% for the day, and everything else stayed fairly stable. But what's interesting is that Dogecoin was only up around 0.5%. However, Shiba Inu, on the other hand, was up 36% for the day. So I guess I just chose the wrong dog meme coin. So checking in on the portfolio on Monday after trading hours, we can see that I was up about $80. Once again, the Palantir option was responsible for the majority of the upside here, with the call option being up a massive 35% for the day. Now that just shows the power and risk of trading options, because Palantir stock went up by only 2.88%. But because we own a call option that expires on Friday, that increase in the underlying stock caused our option to increase by over 10 times the amount that the stock increased by. You can also see that one of the penny stocks, Naked Brand, was up over 25% in after-hours trading, and Litecoin was up around 14% as well. So that's some pretty crazy volatility that we've seen so far. And overall, I'm up around 8%, so it's going well. Okay, so moving on to Tuesday. You can see that things are not doing too well. We're down 16% for the day. The call option I bought was down 74% in one day. That's a result of Palantir stock going down 7% that day. It looks like everything was in red on that day except for the Naked Brand, which was up 21% for the day. But because I only invested $50 into this stock, it really doesn't make a huge impact in terms of helping out the portfolio. And the Litecoin bull rally seems to still be going strong because it was up again by 8%. So now checking in again on Wednesday, this was the day where my request to buy Expensify shares at its IPO price was supposed to be filled. But unfortunately, Robinhood didn't even fill my order. I guess there was just too much demand or something that they didn't want to let all of us measly Robinhood users take part in. I'm not really sure of the reason because Expensify IPO'd at a price of $27 a share, which was lower than my max price of $30 a share that I set, so it should have been filled. Well, I was pretty disappointed because Expensify actually rocketed up in price by over 50%, which would have been great for this video, and instead I had to deal with missing out on a piece of the Expensify pie, whilst also dealing with the fact that the rest of my risky portfolio was in shambles. The portfolio is down almost 20% overall. My $25 Palantir option, which I bought for $190 last Friday, was now worth just $3 only a few days later. And all of my leveraged ETFs, penny stocks, and altcoins were down bad to say the least. So now let's just skip forward to Friday, the last day of the week. The Palantir call option, of course, expired completely worthless because it expired at a price well below the $25 strike price. Checking on how my penny stocks did, we can see that Naked Brand was down 2% over the week, Genius Brand was down 4% for the week, Progenity was down around 20%, and Riskiest Pharmaceuticals was down 8%. My leveraged ETFs also finished both in the red, with SPXL, the S&P 500 3x leveraged ETF, returning negative 1.5%, and the biotech ETF returning negative 13%. Of course, the Expensify buy order was never filled, so I didn't get any profits from the massive rally that happened when it went public. And finally, checking in on the altcoins, Dogecoin pretty much broke even. It went down very slightly in the last week, but Litecoin was actually up 27%. So weirdly, the only investment I chose that ended up making money was Litecoin. Overall, the whole portfolio over the week went down from $1,000 to $804, which is about a negative 20% return. What's interesting is that same week, the S&P 500 was only down 0.5%. So if I had chosen a smarter approach of investing my $1,000 and had put it into an S&P 500 index fund instead of what I did invest it into, which was pretty much meme stocks and altcoins, I would have been down about $5 instead of $196. And what's crazy is that even though this was an experiment to see what would happen if I invested into the riskiest securities I could find, it really isn't too far off from how a lot of new retail investors invest today. Penny stocks, risky option plays, and crypto altcoins are some of the most popular investments right now for young people in their 20s that began investing in the last year or two. And these speculative investments tend to do very poorly when the overall stock market is on the decline. In fact, I'm filming this video about 2 months after I did the initial week-long challenge, and I decided to not sell any of my portfolio because I was curious to see how the risky portfolio would fare over a longer time period. And well, you can see here that the portfolio is down significantly more than the overall stock market. The S&P 500 in the last few months has been on the decline, but hasn't even reached correction territory yet. However, my risky portfolio is down 50%. So I think after I'm done filming, I'm just gonna go ahead and sell whatever's left in my brokerage account and hope that the $500 loss was worth it to show a few people on YouTube how not to invest your money. Anyways, that was my risky stock experiment. I hope you guys enjoyed it more than I did making it, because it was not fun to look back on all that. I know it's been a while since I uploaded, but this is my comeback video to YouTube, and we'll be uploading tons of different videos for you guys on this channel starting now. Make sure you subscribe to see much more personal finance, investing, and all that sort of content coming your way. And for those of you that are already subscribed, welcome back to my channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Take care.